One world religion. Pope Francis signs historic covenant with Islam. A historic interfaith covenant was signed in the Middle East on Monday. This was in January of 2019. And the mainstream media in the United States has been almost entirely silent about it. Sheikh Ahmed al-Tayeb is considered to be the most important Imam in Sunni Islam, and he arrived at the signing ceremony in Abu Dhabi with Pope Francis, hand in hand in a symbol of interfaith brotherhood. But this wasn't just a ceremony for Catholics and Muslims. According to a British news source, the signing of this covenant was done in front of a global audience of religious leaders from Christianity, Islam, Judaism, and other faiths. The Pope and the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar have signed a historic declaration of fraternity, calling for peace between nations, religions, and races, in front of a global audience of religious leaders from Christianity, Islam, Judaism, and other faiths. All right. We, who believe in God, and in the final meeting with Him and His judgment on the basis of our religious and moral responsibility, and through this document, call upon ourselves, upon the leaders of the world as well as the architects of international policy and world economy, to work strenuously to spread the culture of tolerance and of living together in peace, to intervene at the earliest opportunity to stop the shedding of innocent blood and bring an end to wars, conflicts, environmental decay, and the moral and cultural decline that the world is presently experiencing. Let's read the document as much as we can. In the name of God, who has created all human beings equal in rights, duties, with dignity, who has called them to live together as brothers and sisters, to fill the earth and make known the values of goodness, love, and peace. In the name of God. In the name of innocent human life, that God is forbidden to kill, affirming that whoever kills a person is one like who kills the whole of humanity. In the name of the poor, the destitute, the marginalized, and those most in need, whom God has commanded us to help as a duty, required of all persons, especially the wealthy and of means. In the name of orphans, widows, refugees, and those exiled from their homes and their countries. In the name of all victims of wars, persecution, and injustice. In the name of the weak and those who live in fear, prisoners of war, and those tortured in any part of the world without distinction. In the name of the peoples who have lost their security, peace, and the possibility of living together, becoming victims of destruction, calamity, and war. In the name of human fraternity that embraces all human beings and unites them and renders them equal. In the name of this fraternity torn apart by the policies of extremism and division, by systems of unrestrained profit, or by hateful ideological tendencies that manipulate the actions and future of men and women. In the name of freedom that God has given to all human beings, in the name of justice and mercy, the foundations of prosperity and the cornerstones of faith, in the name of all persons of good will present in every part of the world, and in the name of God and of everything stated thus far, Al-Azhar, Al-Sharif, and the Muslims of the East and the West, together with the Catholic Church and the Catholics of the East and West, declare the adoption of a culture of dialogue as the path, mutual cooperation as the code of conduct, and reciprocal understanding as the method. So they put forth the path, the code of conduct, and the method and standard. I still don't get it. We who believe in God and in the final meeting with Him and His judgment on the basis of our religious and moral responsibility, and through this document, call upon ourselves, upon the leaders of the world as well as the architects. I already read that excerpt above. We call upon individual intellectuals, philosophers, religious figures, artists, media professionals, and men and women of culture in every part of the world to rediscover the values of peace, justice, goodness, beauty, human fraternity, and coexistence, in order to confirm the importance of these values as anchors of salvation for all and to promote them everywhere. This declaration, setting out from a profound consideration of our contemporary reality, valuing its successes and in solidarity with its suffering, disasters, and calamities, believes firmly that among the most important causes of the crisis of the modern world are a desensitized human conscience, a distancing from religious values and a prevailing individualism accompanied by materialistic philosophies that deify the human person and introduce worldly and material values in place of supreme and transcendental principles. While recognizing the positive steps taken by our modern civilization in the fields of science, technology, medicine, industry, and welfare, especially in the developed countries, we wish to emphasize that associated with such historic advancements, great and valued as they are, there exists a moral deterioration that influences international action and a weakening of spiritual values and responsibility. All this contributes to a general feeling of frustration, isolation, and desperation, leading many to fall either into a vortex of atheistic, agnostic, or religious extremism, or into blind and fanatic extremism. History shows that religious extremism, national extremism, and also intolerance have produced in the world, be it in the East or the West, what might be referred to as signs of a third world war being fought piecemeal. In several parts of the world, and in many tragic circumstances, these signs have begun to be painfully apparent. We see, in addition, other regions preparing to become theaters of new conflicts with outbreaks of tension and a buildup of arms and ammunition. And all this in a global context overshadowed by uncertainty, disillusionment, fear of the future, and controlled by narrow-minded economic interests. We likewise affirm that major political crises, situations of injustice, and lack of equitable distribution of natural resources, which only a rich minority benefit from. This leads to catastrophic crises that various countries have fallen victim to despite their natural resources and the resourcefulness of young people, which characterize these nations. In the face of such crises that result in the deaths of millions of children wasted away from poverty and hunger, there is an unacceptable silence on the international level. It is clear in this context how the family is the fundamental nucleus of society, and humanity is essential in bringing children into the world, raising them, educating them, and providing them with solid moral formation and domestic security. To attack the institution of the family, to regard it with contempt or doubt its important role is one of the most threatening evils of our era. We affirm also the importance of awakening religious awareness and the need to revive this awareness in the hearts of new generations through sound education and adherence to moral values and upright religious teachings. In this way, we can confront tendencies that are individualistic, selfish, conflicting, and also address radicalism and blind extremism in all its forms and expressions. The first and foremost important aim of the religions is to believe in God. We therefore condemn all those practices that are a threat to life, such as genocide, acts of terrorism, forced displacement, human trafficking, abortion, and euthanasia. Moreover, we resolutely declare that religions must never incite war, hateful attitudes, hostility, and extremism, nor must they incite violence or shedding of blood. These tragic realities are the consequence of the deviation from religious teachings. This is done for the purpose of achieving objectives that are political, economic, worldly, and short-sighted. We thus call upon the concerned to stop using religions to incite hatred, violence, extremism, and blind fanaticism. To stop using the name of God to justify acts of murder, exile, terrorism, and oppression. We ask this on the basis of our common belief in God, who did not create men and women to be killed or to fight one another, nor to be tortured or humiliated in their lives and circumstances. God the Almighty has no need to be defended by anyone and does not want his name to be used to terrorize people. All right. To this end, by mutual cooperation, the Catholic Church and Al-Azhar announce and pledge to convey this document to all authorities, influential leaders, persons of religion all over the world, appropriate regional and international organizations, organizations within civil society, religious institutions, and leading thinkers. They further pledge to make known the principles contained in this declaration at all regional and international levels, while requesting that these principles be translated into policies, decisions, legislative texts, courses of study, and materials to be circulated. Al-Azhar and the Catholic Church ask this document come to the object of research and reflection, become an object of research and reflection in all schools, universities, and institutions of formation, thus helping to educate new generations to bring goodness and peace to others. This is what we hope and seek to achieve with the aim of finding a universal peace that all can enjoy in this life. Abu Dhabi, the 4th of February, 2019. All right, so a lot of effort went into creating this document to say what I just read. It seems like general goodwill for peace and love and respect and the stopping of human trafficking and abuse, which are things that we all call for as humanity. What it doesn't explain in itself to me is why it needs to exist. Why do these churches, religions need to get together and put this declaration out there and say sweet, wonderful things? And then what happens? They're still all different, and they have deep historical reasons and a path, etymologies, pathology of how they became and what they are. And that's going to be awfully hard to change. Unless you have a common thread and you're going to go to the lowest common denominator, I think you might end up with a one God, let's say someone who's on earth now. But anyway, thank you for coming to Plain Mundane Show. Until I post another video, goodbye.